G'day everyone, my name's Cautious Pancake, and today I'm taking a look back at the Lemming Tower base after getting a bunch of requests for an update to see if it still works in Alpha 21. For those who missed it, the Lemming Tower was originally designed as an AFK base and uses a sideways ramp block with diagonal railing on top to trigger the zombies into jumping, usually over the side of the railing so they fall down and start the loop again. So first things first, let's fire up a Horde Night and just see how it goes. There's the music, and popping downstairs, we'll see the zombies running in. We should run straight around the outside and up the ramp, but that doesn't seem to be happening. Got one running up. Nope, he's not running up. Okay. When they all just hang around the bottom like this, it's usually a case that the pathing's broken completely. So maybe there's been a change to some of the blocks that we've used to separate the path from the pillar. Or maybe something else is going on, although now some of them seem to have got and worked out how the path works and are treating the base normally now. So that's a little bit strange. There's still a few hanging around the bottom, as you can see, that aren't doing the right thing, but the most of them are. Okay, maybe my game's a bit broken. See these guys over here, they're just sort of standing there. Oh, now they've woken up. Arlene in the background there still not doing anything, or the rad biker. Okay, that's all a bit strange. We might just maybe stop this and restart it, and we'll see if it happens again. Okay, here we go. First biker was successful. It's looking a bit more promising. So maybe that was an issue with dropping it in. Obviously this is a POI that I've dropped into the world, because I've copied this over from Alpha 20. I only needed two changes. One was to replace the hatch and the other was the vault door. So the pathing now doesn't look to be affected. So next the trick is to see how the base performs and has there been any changes for Alpha 21. In Alpha 20 you would expect that at most one or two zombies would make it to the top in the whole Horde Night. So let's see if that holds true for Alpha 21. We're just going to monitor the top of the combat cage and see how many zombies make it up by, say, midnight in the first 2 hours, and if that's more than one or two, then we know that something's changed. So obviously there's been a small nerf to the way that the zombies collide and jump over the diagonal railings, which results in them falling less often. And to be fair, this is slightly less catastrophic than I had feared, and might mean that the nerf hasn't yet fully been completed. The reason I say that is because when the experimental Alpha 21 first came out, I was browsing through some of the POIs in the prefab editor looking for the location to use for my flame base video, and found that the Fun Pimps have created their own cheese base. It's literally called AAA base cheese, and when you know it, the structure and path around the outside looks pretty damn similar to the Lemming Tower. Let's have a quick look at this cheese base then. They've got an entrance here for the zombies to walk through, with a whole bunch of iron spikes around the outside. This looks like our force field, similar to the Lemming Tower. If we check the shape though, that's the concrete double pole on both of those. So yes, they've used a double pole block for the force field. They've got a ramp back up, similar to my base, to allow any of the zombies that do fall down the bottom here to come back up, which is good. You don't want them getting stuck down the bottom and smashing on the foundations of the base. The path up looks just like our path up, using the ramp blocks. They've got the diagonal ramps here with the railings as well to match. That all looks pretty similar. They've used a double diagonal with two fence railings in a row. I'm not sure whether that's by design and whether that's more effective. We'll have to check that. And to separate the base, rather than using the small cube blocks and trim blocks that I use to hover the path out from the base, it looks like they've just used some half cube blocks just to hold the path away and give it a bit of a gap. We'll have to check whether that works as well. Otherwise, it's very much the same. They've got some small landings to give the height some increases, and the overall base is a little taller, but this bit at the top is really cool. I love the cheese that they've used here and the style that they've built to make it look like a block of Swiss cheese. I think that's really, really awesome. Not much else to be said. It's a fantastic touch to add to a cheese base. So from there, let's kick off Horde Night and see how it performs. Here they come. Obviously just going to have to wait until they force their way through these spikes. I don't tend to use spikes myself much, simply because they don't gain you any XP, and if you're going to kill the zombies, you might as well get the XP for them. But it's interesting that they've added that here. Not sure whether they were expecting the zombies to run around the outside of the spikes or not, or whether that entrance through the sandbags is just for the player. So you can see that guy ran up a few levels, and that's worked pretty well. This cop, however, seems a little bit stuck, and he's just bashing on those half-cube blocks, as is the spider. So this was one thing I was worried about with that separation technique that they've used. It's not looking great for keeping the zombies on task and not giving them anywhere else to go. Having the path that close to the body of the pillar of the base, they are going to want to hit on that. In addition, it looks like there's some of the other pathing issues that we had on that first run of the Lemming Tower, where not all of the zombies seem to want to path up. Some of them are stuck on the force field there. These guys are just trying to build a zombie pyramid all the way to the top, which isn't going to work. And I think, again, that's either the pathing that resolved itself after a little while on the Lemming Tower, or something else is going on. So to try and resolve some of the pathing issues that we just saw, I had a bit of a fiddle off camera, and it looks like removing the half blocks on the outside of the central tower has fixed this a bit. As you can see, where the exposed concrete is now visible, I've removed the half blocks, which hasn't affected the stability overall of the base significantly. The path is still there all the way up the outside, but that extra separation should mean that the zombies now want to run straight up the path rather than hanging out at the bottom. So let's see how that goes. There they go, and look, much better this time. They're all heading, so far at least, straight up the path, jumping over the outside, over those railings. That's working as expected, and they're for the most part continuing up just fine. Jumping a little bit later into Horde Night, whilst most of them are still running up the path just fine, those that are falling down and landing on the force field are getting stuck. They're not able to work out where to move or where to run to, unless they fall right on the outside, and even then sometimes they seem to be wanting to run in and stand on that force field block. The double pole isn't one that I've personally used as a force field before, so I haven't tested it in detail, but it does seem to be causing a bit of a problem. That's one of the reasons that the Lemming Tower is the shape that it is. It was built as an inverted pyramid so that as the zombies went up the outside, when they fell off, they typically fell outside of the force field and not on top of it. As well as the force field block that I used, the wall stud, was selected as a very open force field block so that any zombie that fell down into it would typically fall through it and then just run up the ramp and continue on. So what we might do is pause this attempt and have one more go and see if we can get this working right. Final attempt to get the cheese base working right for the Fun Pimps. What I've done this time is remove all of the force field blocks. They're not there for stability since the main tower is built all the way through down to the ground. So removing them just means that any zombie that falls down will fall right down into the basement and can run up the ramp and continue on. This should remove any of the confusion for the zombies as to which path to take or where to stand, and they will all hopefully just run straight up. There we go, that's looking much better. Zombies are running straight up the path. Nobody's getting stuck at the bottom. Everybody that falls down is typically falling down into the basement pit or onto the spikes on the outside and then restarting the path. So there you go. If you want to build a base like the Fun Pimps cheese base design, those are the couple of tweaks that I would suggest. Firstly, removing the half blocks from the outside, and secondly, removing the force field blocks or changing them for a more open force field block. And you should be good. So getting back to the Lemming Tower, now that we know that the base is working slightly less well as it used to, whilst the zombies still run up and they still jump over the side, they don't do it as consistently and more zombies are getting to the top than we used to. So what we might want to do is have a quick look at what other diagonal blocks have been added to the game in Alpha 21 that we might be able to use to get things working better again. For example, they've added this pole diagonal. If we rotate that around and make it a little bit higher, which takes me forever to find the right orientation. There we go. And that one I think is on more the outside. I'm going to flip it around, there we go, to this orientation. And if we place it there, most of the zombies should hit that as well and be forced to jump over the side. It's a little bit weird because it floats up in the air with nothing to attach it, but I can live with that. Let's give it a test though and see how it goes. Okay, here we go with the pole diagonal. And come the zombies, up the path they go, and well, they get stuck on it, but they're not jumping That's not a good sign early on. They're all just running around the outside. Or running around the inside, I guess, of the path. Oop, I saw someone jump in the background there, but they're certainly not jumping on those first two corners like they normally would. This isn't looking good at all. One jump there we go. Not good ratio so far. Let's see if it changes once they get to the top bit. And I've forgotten to close the door. They're jumping a bit more up the top. That nurse in the background seems to be stuck in a bit of a loop there. That's interesting. But Bo here has made it by 10:30. Here comes another little wave. Let's see how many of these make it through. Again, there seems to be a bit of looping there. Spider's made it. That's 2. Yeah, 3 and 4. I think we're busted here. Too many zombies already by 11 o'clock have made it all the way up to the top. So I think this particular block is not going to be all that effective. Okay, so that wasn't very successful and made things significantly worse. Let's try it again with, and this time I'll remember to shut the door. Let's use a different diagonal block. What else have we got? Plate diagonal. Let's give that a shot. It should be fairly similar to the railing in that once we get the orientation right, there we go. It sits on the edge of the block. It's nice and tall. Let's see if this does the job. Okay. Just waiting for the zombies coming in from the far side. And up we go. And hopefully this time they don't just run straight past them like they did in the last one. Oh, we got a bit of a jump. Didn't do anything, but we got a jump. And again, one down of the first 3. So they're jumping a lot more. They're not falling over as often, I don't think, but they are jumping, so that's good. Let's see how we go as they head up. Oh, still jumping, still jumping. He's hitting all 3 blocks, that first biker, as he goes around the corner. So that's a good sign that they're definitely getting triggered for the jump with this one. Probably even more so than the original railing, or at least with the original railing under Alpha 21, if that makes sense. So far, no one's really made it through to the second, or few make it to the second ramp, sorry. No one's made it through to the third ramp. So this is looking fairly positive. What we might have to do is fast forward some time so that you don't have to watch 20 minutes of zombies jumping off their side, and we'll see how many make it to the top. So there you go. The Lemming Tower is alive and well, for now at least, in Alpha 21. You can leave the existing railings in place if you want a little bit of combat, or change them out for the diagonal plate blocks if you want the original experience of 99% AFK. There's also the Fun Pimps cheese-based design that you can now use, although I suspect that they aren't done with using that to refine the zombies' pathing and jumping. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, even if AFK bases aren't your thing. If so, please click the like button to give this video a boost, and if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, please subscribe and come back for the next one. As always, thanks for watching, and happy building.